What up? This is Rama Screen, and in the celebration of Blood, which is now in theaters and is available on video on demand starting today, I'm here talking with one of the stars of this new film, Skeet Ulrich. How are you, Skeet?
I'm great, Rama. How are you?
Good, good, good. Congratulations on the new film. I'm a big fan of yours. You are obviously not a stranger to horror genre, big fan of the Scream franchise. Great
Yeah,
to see your return last year. What drew you to Blood? Was this your first time working with Michelle? Was that part of the reason that drew you to this project?
absolutely. Michelle for sure, Brad for sure. And then just reading it, and it was such a page turner and so intriguing on so many different levels. I felt like it had a lot to offer, and it did. I was so fortunate to be asked to be a part of it. I still pinch myself that I got to. So yeah, it was a lot of things. It was those big three: the script and Brad and Michelle.
You've got several intense scenes with Michelle, including the one on the in the conference room. Very emotional, very intense. A lot of argumentative, a lot of shouting scenes. Did you guys? How was that collaborative process with Michelle? Did you guys rehearse countless times before shooting it? Did you feel like it going to toe with a fellow actor who can bring out that side of your character?
Yeah, I mean the latter really. We didn't rehearse at all until we rehearsed for camera before we started rolling. But I think we had a pretty good idea of what we were after, and we were in amazing hands with Brad, sort of guiding us to in terms of building the flow of those things. And but she and I had an incredible time. I mean, we typically each take would the scene as written would end, and we would keep going. And it would usually culminate in one of us making the other one laugh, or her jab was better than my jab, and the crew would usually vote who won that round, and so we had a great time going at it.
How amazing were those two young actors, Finley and Skylar? Man, especially Finley, because he was terrifying. His performance was very mature, also for his age.
Yeah.
I imagine working with young adults on Riverdale is vastly different from young actors like Skylar and Finley. So what was that experience like for you working with Skylar and Finley on this movie, co-starring? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. They are absolutely stunning performers. I was blown away. And then in Brad's hands, like, he found two incredible actors for those parts. And Skylar is so present and available and yet wise and smart at the same. I mean, it's just amazing to watch her work. And Finley is, like you said, he's feels like a 50-year-old in a 10-year-old's body, and he wants to sit around and hear the bad jokes that he shouldn't. He's too young to hear, and like he just is such a part of. He's just vibrant, and it was incredible to see what Brad guided them through and what they brought individually to it. But yeah, really, really proud of them, and I know if they decide to stay in this business that they will have really nice careers for sure.
Is it easier or more challenging, the age difference, working with them compared to working with Cole and KJ and all those guys?
That you have less hours at when they're under a certain age. There's SAG rules about how long, so that everything's a tiny bit more rushed. But yeah, no, I mean, you know what? Storytellers are storytellers, and they come in a various array of packages from age and so they all fit into that category and are all there to do the best they can do in terms of helping tell the story from KJ Cole to Tyler and Finley. They're all the same in that regards.
Your character Patrick and Michelle's character Jess are in a custody battle. As the story progresses, we notice that Patrick ain't all that bad. I think there's this presumption when couples are in that situation, like the audiences are like, okay, who do we side with? Who's the bad guy, good guy? But the script makes it, that it's more complicated than just that. So talk to me about that. The fact that there's no really antagonist aside from the supernatural forces in this
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that was really interesting to me and intriguing. And Brad and I's initial conversations and continuing conversations were uh, mainly about what I felt his financial level would be. I wanted him to feel more blue collar than initially he was written, and to feel more on the, to kind of keep the tone similar throughout, so it didn't change drastically with him and her, and then it really allowed her to kind of be a little more heroic without him having to be a villain. They also had to feel like they had had a long life together, and so any sort of, I just felt like it was important that tonally we'd be of the same, felt like we were cut from the same cloth, I guess. I had David Mamet and William H. Macy as teachers at NYU, and Mamet is an incredible playwright, and he always said, that good drama is when you can buy in and believe and get behind and pull for this side, and you can also get behind and buy and believe and pull for this side. And when those two clash, it asks you as an audience what you believe in. If it's easy to pull for this guy and easy to hate this guy, and they clash, well, it's obvious. And it doesn't really ask us anything as an audience. And I think this film is a prime example of that, of like, it really digs a little deeper than making it obvious. And so I was a fan of it for that reason from the get-go.
I definitely will. I'll tell my fans to go watch it. Speaking of which, speaking of whom I said, my fans will kill me if I don't ask you this. I know that a lot of my fans are fans of Riverdale. It's a fan favorite show for a lot of years. We were bummed out that you left, and you mentioned that you were bored creatively, which is a fair argument. Did you miss Riverdale? Do you regret leaving it? Do you ever want to come back sometimes, or do you feel that Jones's arc, it was already complete? There's no way of continuing it.
I may come back. We'll see. There is some talk about maybe finding something to, because the story's ending, and Roberto wants me to come do something, and I feel like it's something that is worth exploring and seeing, what they come up with, and how it feels. So I'm into the idea. I miss that group of people a lot. I don't get to keep up with all of them anymore, but Cole and I stay in touch, and we happened to film together in New Orleans at the same time recently during his hiatus, and got to spend a lot of time together. And I enjoy all those people a lot, and Vancouver's an amazing place. I love that city. So there are things I do miss about it for sure. They've definitely gone on their own way story-wise, and I know they're in the 50s now, so I'm curious to see how this plays out in Roberto's mind, and hopefully it makes sense.
Final question. I can't let you go. Last year was one of the best kept secrets, one of the best kept surprises in the history of Hollywood, when you showed up as Billy Loomis. Are you going to show up again as Billy Loomis, a psychological Sam's ghost, if you will, in the upcoming Scream 6?
Well, look, I held on to that one for about 14 months, 15 months from shooting to release. So I'm not giving anything up. I can hold on.
No exclusive today. No exclusive. All right. Fair enough. For my fans at home, everybody go check out Blood, which is now in theaters and arriving on video on demand starting today. Skeet Ulrich, big fan of Jericho. Thank you so much for talking to me today. Congratulations.
Thank you, Rama.